Hi, everyone, and welcome to Truth Camp. I'm your host, Crystal Gaznichek, with my co-host and wife, Sarah. We believe that there is something you can learn from everyone and want to help share these truths to help inspire and motivate. Thank you for spending time with us today. Now let's get started.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Truth Camp with myself, Sarah, my wife, Crystal. And today we have Lisa Mort on the podcast.
Which we're super excited to have.
She is a friend of ours. She's my work buddy, mentor, and she is a breathwork facilitator. Breathwork facilitator. So
an amazing one at that.
Thanks. So a lot of you, if like you're local in this area, you know she's down at Empowered Yoga, and she has her breathwork and guided meditation classes, which are super, super cool. Like whether you're into that or not, it's still a good time. And Lisa, you've been in cosmetology for how long?
27 years.
Wow.
27 years of peopling.
She was the first person I've ever got my hair done.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. That is really funny.
So wild. I think I was like 17 years old.
Yeah. So I was only like 19.
You were basically the same age.
About that. One of the really cool things we're going to talk about, one of the main things that we're going to talk about is it's probably going to be like the baseline of transformation. Yeah. Which is like super, super cool. And we'll just start like Lisa, like just give your basic rundown for those who don't know you or don't know, like, whatever you want to share.
So,
share with the group.
Pretty much this last 2 years. So I know COVID affected a lot of people, and my heart goes out to everybody who likes to be in the public and like people. But to me, this was a blessing because I got to go inside and I was totally okay with the isolation. And I really got to take a look at myself and who I'd become, what I wanted. The last 5 years prior to that, my life was in a big transition. I feel very strongly about the hair industry, but I started to become robotic. I was super, super goal orientated, goal focused, to where my life became almost like an assembly line. What's next? What's next? What's next? I was hitting goals. I was doing things that a lot of people thought that I wouldn't be able to do, and I was empty. I was not fulfilled. I loved the people that sat in my chair, but something was missing, and it's probably something that has been going on for most of my life, honestly. But I got to the point where I was done. Like, I needed to find something. I needed to find out why I felt broke, and there's something that I learned later on. There's a point in our life where we think that we're broke, but maybe we're just on pause. You just needed to take that break to figure out who you were. So I probably was on pause for about 10 years,
And like from the outside, you looked like this successful, goal-oriented,
yes.
You're doing things.
Yes.
And inside you were just not.
The more I reached my goals, the more successful I got, the more detached I became. I didn't know how to feel. And I didn't realize that I didn't know how to feel. And it's not that I didn't have feelings. It was easier for me not to feel. So as long as I wasn't feeling, I could just go to work every single day. And I knew the second that I allowed myself to feel, I might not get out of bed. So it was easier to detach. I disassociated with everything around me and just powered forward, just kept going. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And I would hit the next. Even when I knew that it was probably going to be impossible, I hit it.
I'll get it.
I'm still going to do it. But I would hit those goals and I still would be like, no.
So what was the moment, or do you have like a specific, like almost enlightening moment where you had a realization?
I
that
wish
you felt?
I did. I wish I could sit here and tell you that I was laying in bed one night and the light just came on. Like, it's not that. It is a combination of all the darkness and all the sadness and all the loneliness just building up. Where, if I would say, when did it change for me, is when I did ayahuasca. So that would be, I consider my first ayahuasca ceremony my before and after. And, you know, Sarah knew me pretty well before I did ayahuasca and after. And the ceremonies, I'm a changed person from that. If you knew me before, I'm not the same person.
Yeah, I can attest to that for sure.
Yeah.
So me and you have talked about that. When you came back, you just lived, you're different person. Yeah.
Different. I came home.
You even feel different, like
Yeah.
being around you.
Yeah. And I feel it. So like, I know that that's what I project to, you know, I know that's what I project to.
It was super cool though to know you before, and like also to get to work with you, because that was like, you know, every day, like going into like, you know, you're in the ring.
Yeah.
And like to see you in that aspect and to know you that way, and then to see it happen, because I think we had talked about, I was like, she is a completely
But I think
different
even just
person.
COVID, like you said, in general, just gave everyone that space to really look and reflect within yourself.
Yeah.
And
I loved not leaving my house. I loved not leaving my house. And like, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I was like, man, I don't think I changed my clothes in like 4 days, you know, like, but I was so happy and content just living in this little bubble. But, you know, I still got to see my grandkids and I still saw my kids. So I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
I was still surrounded by people too, but I just didn't have to leave my house.
So when was the first trip of going to Costa Rica,
Okay, so
and how did that like
The
get
very
in the
first
works?
trip, we arrived in Costa Rica on a Saturday, and come Monday, we all were being forced to leave because the borders were closing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this build up, this anticipation of getting myself ready to do ayahuasca for that very first time. And Monday was the day of our first ceremony, and they call us all into the meeting room, and they're like, you know, but well, then they were calling it corona. So
Yeah, that's
corona,
right in the beginning.
the coronavirus, the borders are closing. And for you to get back in the U.S. and not, you know, Costa Rica, their borders were closing too. Everybody has to leave now. And I remember all of us sitting there like, just let us do it this one night. Come on, just one time. Like, what do you mean you're going to send us? Now I understand why they didn't. So I'm very grateful for that. But so we got sent back home. So I came home, the salons were closed. So that was 8 weeks. Were we off for 8 weeks?
I think so.
Yeah, about 2 months. And then Rhythmia, where I went, they didn't open back up till the following November. So like every month I was calling, like, can I book my not appointment, my stay, whatever you want to call it. They're not open. So finally they announced when they were going to be open, and that was in November. So I went the first week that they were open. So it was kind of cool. I was there the week that they were shut down, and then the week that they opened up. And so my first week there, I mean, I get there, I go there, and I think I know what to expect. You know, I was prepared for the mental. Like, I know I have demons. I know I have darkness. I know, like, I prepared myself for that. What I wasn't prepared for was the physical. And that caught me completely off guard, the physical pain that I was experiencing. So how far do you want me to get into this?
I was going to say,
Well-
for the viewers though, can you explain what ayahuasca is? Because a lot of
Yes.
people probably don't even know what we're talking
Ayahuasca
about.
is a hallucinogen. It's a tea. It's like a little shot glass. It's kind of thick. Does not taste good. And basically what it does is it takes you on the spiritual journey. We're guided with shaman. There's people there leading us, making sure we're okay, but you're hallucinating, you know? And what it does, it connects you to your higher self. It connects you to your authentic self. It connects you to your demons. And Why would anybody want to do that, right? Why would you want to go face your demons? Here is in life in general for myself, and everything I'm telling you is just my experience. It's different for everybody. So just because it worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. And it doesn't mean that's the path that you have to take. I was at the point that I needed something that I could not manipulate. I could go to therapy and I could manipulate in the sense is I know what the psychiatrist wants to hear. So I could manipulate the situation and I could say what I needed to say and be on with it. But then I didn't get anything from it. So I needed to put myself, I was tired of my own shit.
Yeah.
I was tired of my own shit. I was tired of my own toxic self. You know, it's very easy for us to point out everybody else. But when you can get to the point where you're like, listen, I can't live with myself anymore because I don't like who I am for me and I don't like who I am for other people. I can't manipulate ayahuasca. So when it shows up, I tried to run. I mean, I tried to physically run. I tried everything to like talk myself. Oh, I'm not thinking that. You're wrong. And I'm having these conversations with her out loud, but you know, I hear her in my head, but nobody else kind of hears her. But I couldn't manipulate it. So I was forced to face my shadows. So looking at my life, if you would look at me from on the outside, I had a great divorce. I was a single mom doing everything I could to provide a great life for my kids. We went to Europe. I bought a house. You know, I bought 2 houses. We went on vacations. I looked happy. I was physically fit. I wore nice clothes. I had nice purses. I drove nice cars. I was pretty, you know? And so if you would look at me, nobody would ever believe the darkness that was inside me. And all that stuff I'm telling you right now, I could use to get where I needed to get. Ayahuasca didn't give a shit what I look like, or if I was fit, or if I was drinking green juice, or if I was doing yoga, or she didn't care. She was like, nope, we're gonna face this head on. So even though all this showed on the outside, I was so insecure. I doubted every move I made. I looked for the outside. I needed the outside to tell me that I was doing good, that I was doing right, that I was successful, that I did this, you did this. I couldn't find it. I did not love myself. I didn't even know how to love myself. I would hear that and I'd read it and I'd think, man, that's such like a cool thing, but how do you do that? How do you love yourself? And I didn't. And I would be in a room full of people and I could not connect with anybody. So I was surrounded by people all the time, especially in the industry that I was in. We are always around people. I was surrounded by people all the time and I felt completely alone. So ayahuasca took me on the journey of finding all the reasons why I was that way. And I mean, some of it was crazy. Some of it, like, I look back on it and I was like, is that for real? You know, and a lot of the things that I did experience a lot of pain. I threw up so much, like, I didn't even know where it was coming from. You're eating clean, you're, you know, very light. Everything's vegan. They prepare these meals for you. But I'm like, how am I even throwing up? I barely have anything. But when I would throw up, like, I mean, just not to be grosser, but it was like tar. And what we were taught to do is when you would throw up, you look in the bucket and you ask, what is it? So ayahuasca is a purgant, and it will help you throw up energy that has been suppressed in your body, emotions that have been suppressed in your body. This is where I wasn't ready for physically the pain that it was going to create in my body. So the worst night was the second ceremony I've ever done, and I felt like my bones were being crushed. I felt like I was on fire. I couldn't breathe. And the shaman came over to me, and I mean, I'm throwing up, and it's just like they're doing their blessings, and like they do all these things to help rearrange your energy. And it's just like, I was like, I just want to die. Just let me die. just let me die. And I remember the shaman looked at me. She goes, do you feel like that in your life? I'm like, yes, I just want to die. I'm done. Like, I can't keep fighting because I feel like every day of my life is a fight and I don't even know what I'm fighting. So after I said it, I threw up like you wouldn't believe, you know, and I had this moment of peace, just a moment. And then it all started again. And she was like, you got to just go. And I'm like, so they use Kapal, and Kapal, the room is so smoky and it like smokes you out, you know? And I felt like I was suffocating and I was like gasping for air. And I was like, I can't breathe. And I'm gasping and I was like, I'm suffocating. Like, I couldn't understand why they wouldn't take me out of the room. And she looked at me, she's like, do you feel like you're suffocating in your life? And I'm like, yes, I'm suffocating in my fucking life. And I said it. And when I said it, I threw up. So what was happening is all these emotions started coming out, and they call them packets. So I would swallow my emotions not to feel them. And I think, honestly, I've done it since kindergarten, because then I started looking back, like, when do I remember, like, trying to not feel stuff? When's the first time I remember feeling like this and not wanting to feel like this again? So it went back to almost kindergarten. So that night I threw up about 45 years of 42, 41. I'm aging myself here. I threw up a lot of years of emotion. And like, I just looked, and I just remember looking at her. I was like, I cannot go on. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And one of the things that can happen when you're doing ayahuasca is, you know, like, people will poop themselves. And I'm coming into this and I'm like, this is not happening. You know, I'm in this white dress, you know, this nice white flowy dress. And I'm laying there. And guys, I'm being completely vulnerable here. So I'm laying there and all this is happening, and I'm thinking, I probably got puke all over me, but that I was totally cool with. So I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And she was like, go ahead, you can go. I'm like, oh no, I can't walk. And she's like, well, I'll help you. And I was like, you're going to have to carry me because I can't move. I was frozen. My body was frozen. It couldn't move. It just wasn't moving. And she's like, honey, I can't carry you. I'm like, then find somebody that can, because I have to go to the bathroom. And it was so uncomfortable. Like, my body was starting to hurt so bad. And I was just laying there and I'm throwing up. And then every time I throw up, I'm like, I can't, I got to go to the bathroom. And so there were, you know, she was like, you just have to surrender. And I was like, I am not surrendering. And I remember saying this, like, I am not surrendering. I have on a white dress. So even though I'm totally out of it, like, you know, I was fully aware that I had to go to the bathroom. So she was like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you just have to surrender to it. So the pain got so ungodly bad. I was like, there's nothing I can do about this, you know? And I was like, it is what it is. And I'm just going to cover my head and I was humiliated. I was humiliated laying there, because I would be like, people are walking by, I have on this white dress. They see I shit my pants. Like, I was humiliated. So all of a sudden, all the pain went away in my body. All the pain went away. And I saw this phoenix, like, and it just was huge and it was fiery. And I looked at her, I was like, do you see this phoenix? She's like, oh, baby girl, you see a phoenix. I was like, I see a phoenix. And she's like, that's an ego death. That's a rebirth. And I was like, all the pain went away. And it was just like, I felt like, oh, I was so relieved. And then I thought, I shit my pants. And then I was like humiliated again. But here's what the craziest thing was. I did not shit my pants. Ayahuasca made me become humiliated. I had to feel humiliation to break through.
And have that realization.
Yes. to be able to feel feelings again. From that moment on, I've been able to feel.
So would you say
feelings.
It helps you question things that you didn't think about before, like after doing ayahuasca?
Definitely. Some of the lessons, some of the things that happened in the ceremony, I'd be like, what is this? Like, I don't even understand what this is. And the answer might come 6 months later. And it's like, oh my gosh, that is what that meant. That is what that meant. So, and I talk a lot about all the terrible, terrible, horrible things that happen, because that's just my experience. But that is the darkness that I've held within. One of the things that was explained to me that night too was what I let go of was very old, and it's called ancestral pain. So the older the pain is, the more physical pain it's going to create, because your ego does not want it to leave your body, because that's what your ego feeds off of. It needs you to stay dark. That's how the ego lives. And when you release ancestral pain, it's extremely painful. But once you release it, it's like, oh, holy cow. And it's so funny. Like, both of my grandmas were there with me, but I mean, they both have passed on, but both of my grandmas were there with me. And I say this so lovingly. My Italian grandma, so that should say enough, right? My Italian grandma, she's yelling at me, stop this. This is enough. You're creating pain within the family. You are creating, why are you stirring this up? Let settled dust lay settled. Stop doing this. You're hurting everybody around you. And this is like all my ancestors. So I'm seeing all this generation of women that I saw them. They were there. Like, it was so crazy. So she's here yelling at me to stop, suppress it. And my other grandma is standing here on the other side, and she's like, nope, honey, you're going to do this. You're letting this go. This is what you've been here for. This is what's happened. And you can do this. It hurts. Like, she was almost coaching me on here. But like afterwards, my Italian grandma was like, I just was trying to push you to see what you were made of, So it was like they were both there, supporting it. But I just remember that I'm like, she's yelling. I'm so miserable, and she's yelling at me. She's totally yelling at me. So on that night, I released ancestral baggage, ancestral damage, things that our family has held and carried on, like the maluk. That has been passed down generation to generation. It's in our DNA. So you can go in and you can rearrange that, and you can let that go. So that's why that physically too was so painful, because I had this release of this ancestral pain. But so there's this, I need to tell something really pretty that happens too, because it's not all dark like that. So there's this thing that, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but there's this thing that can happen. It's called a spiritual surgery. And when you when you have a spiritual surgery, different things can show up and actually do the surgery. And they will show up, they will either fix something that is wrong in your body, or they will prevent something from happening. And usually when you'll start to feel this feeling in your teeth, and it's so strange. There's not a word for it. I can't even tell you what the feeling is. It doesn't hurt, but there's not a word for what it feels like. But you'll start to feel this feeling. And now when the surgeries happen, like, it's very common that the minions will show up. The Disney minions. The minions will do it. There's a praying mantis, this big praying mantis, these little silver, like, aliens, literally, kind of things. Ants have showed up. This last time it was an octopus. But so I'm laying there, I'm feeling this in my teeth, and I'm like, oh yes, I'm gonna have this, because I hadn't been this was on my second week, but that's a whole other story. I ended up staying an extra week when I went the first time, and I was like, I'm finally gonna have this surgery. And so I hear this voice that says, close your eyes. And I'm like, my eyes are closed. And she's like, then open your eyes. So I opened my eyes, but I didn't, and I can't even explain that. And in front of me there's this bright white light and Jesus. And I was like, what the heck? and the light is who's speaking to me. And she's like, why do you look so surprised? And I was like, I expected the minions, not Jesus. Like, you know, I mean, I was just like dumbfounded because it was Jesus, except his skin was darker. Like it was, you know, it was Jesus. And so what I said, I didn't expect Jesus. And she says, your father prays for you so much, I couldn't send you anybody but Jesus. And my dad, if anybody, you know, is listening to this that knows my dad's old school Catholic. Like, he prays for us all day long. And I'm not exaggerating. And she said, he prays for you so much that I couldn't send you anyone but Jesus. She says, I want you to see his prayers. And all of a sudden I'm surrounded by white doves. I mean, they're flying all around me. And in the lights, she says, every dove represents a time that your father has prayed for you. And it just was like so warm. My body just warmed up. Like, I don't always have words for what I experienced, because there's really not words to it. But I just knew there was this feeling of unconditional love, you know? And so Jesus puts his hand on my forehead, and the light, he's like taking the light and putting it all through my head, and it's just like coming out my eyes and my ears and all of this. And we had been, you know, guided before that if you have a surgery to ask what happened in the surgery. So, you know, I was like, what did you do? Like, what was this? And so the light proceeds to tell me. So I have a long history of migraines. You know, I think my first one was in 3rd grade. And my dad's family has this long history of migraines. But what really was like crazy is she says, I removed 3 strokes from your brain. And my dad has had like, and I know that's like, okay, yeah, you just wanted, you know, because like I went through that. I just wanted to hear that, or I wanted to see that, or I wanted this, or I wanted that. But this is when something physically changes, you can't argue it. Like, you can't argue it. All I know is the moment that happened, this pressure in my head released. And I didn't even know that pressure wasn't normal. So then I thought, okay, well, you know, I am on a psychedelic. It probably has some like pain release kind of things in here. The pressure has never come back. That pressure had been in my head for, like I said, I didn't know that that's not what your head was supposed to feel like until it was gone. So something happened there. So, but that was like beautiful things like that happened too. You know,
that's awesome.
Well, and then I think before you had mentioned like some people laugh and some people are
Oh,
smiling.
yeah.
Like some people are having.
I
like,
was
really...
so jealous of them. You know, like ayahuasca will make you purge, but not everybody purges differently. It can be laughing, crying, sneezing, coughing, dancing, moving. Like, I just have a lot of darkness, you know? I had a lot of darkness to get rid of. But like, I remember there's this one guy, and I just like lay there and I'm like, this is so not fair. I just wonder if they're giving us the same stuff, because he's like floating and dancing and just like talking, and it just like, I was just like, this, I want to switch. I want his dirty, he can have mine. And then I was asking, I was like, how does this happen? And he said, listen, I've been doing ayahuasca for 13 years. I've gotten rid of all my darkness. You know? So I was like, goals.
Yeah.
I want to float.
Right?
I want to float and sing and dance and think I sound good, you know?
Now, was rhythmia your first experience and introduction to breath work?
Yes.
Okay,
so here's the first day you go there, you have breath work. That's the first thing you ever experience is breath work. And I was like, holy crap, what is this? Like, how have I never experienced this? Because it was like, it was psychedelic. Like, this is before I even did ayahuasca. But I mean, I smelled my grandma. Like, the things that I was seeing, it was just so crazy. I was like, it just released the stress that was in my body. So, you know, we did that. Then we went and we had during the week, the ayahuasca. And then we end the week again with breath work again. And the breath work was just as powerful. what I was releasing was just as powerful as the ayahuasca. And they worked hand in hand. So I can't take everything away from the ayahuasca, but it was so powerful, and I wasn't throwing up. So I was like, this is a gift from God right now, And so when I came home, I looked for breath work because I knew I needed something to add to my routine. I needed something daily that was going to help me to integrate everything that happened. And I couldn't find breath work. There was nowhere. I think the closest studio I could find that offered it was like 300 miles away.
Oh, wow.
And I could find it online, but I want to experience it in person. Like, I tried some of the online ones, and I was like, oh, I really want this in person, So that's when I was like, well, maybe I'm supposed to teach breath work, and I put together, I could just vaguely remember how the class was ran, what was happening. And I think it was actually, I called you two and I was like, hey, you guys want to try something?
Yeah. But actually, like prior to this though, you have been a teacher.
Yes.
Like you have taught, like,
yes,
which I think is cool. Cause we talk about like, the synchronicities and the things that happen in your life. And like, you were very used to being in that role and like, we're going to make it. Like, it doesn't exist. We're going to do it. I don't like the way that's done. I'm going to do it this way.
Yes.
And that was one of our many Zoom FaceTime calls, which were so great.
Here's something really interesting about this, too, is that I always taught because I didn't feel good enough. So teaching was a very selfish thing for me. I needed to do that to feel important. When I came back from arrhythmia, I did not need to feel important anymore. So even if I would show up teaching in the hair industry again, it is not from the same place I taught before. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that is a pattern that happens with me, is if I will become a teacher to teach it.
So did you feel like you were drawn to teaching the breath work because you wanted to help people feel the way that you experienced?
Yes. It was something, and this was something that I had to go within. I really after I had the class with you guys, and then I had another class, and then it was just like another class, because then people were like, hey, what is this? I want to try it. But I really had to go within and figure out, am I doing this as a pattern? Am I doing this because I need to be validated? Or am I doing this to share what I experienced? And when the classes really started getting booked, and there was like one point when I was doing classes in privates, and it was like I was still working full time at the salon. Mm-hmm. So I was still working 38 hours, and I was doing 9 classes. But this is what I do. You see, if I stay busy, if I stay productive, if I'm doing things that are making a difference, I don't have to feel my feelings. I don't have to look inward and see what is going on with me. I'm just going to help everybody. Because I'm going to help everybody, then I don't have to help myself. So I had to sit down with myself. And this is where I know where ayahuasca has helped me. I've never been able to do that. So I was able to separate myself from what was happening, but I've never felt so called, and I'm not very religious, but I'm spiritual, and I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, and Jesus and Mary are in all my breath works, but I remember sitting at the kitchen table, talking to my mom and dad, and I'm like, I feel called by God to do this. And if you would know that that's just not something that I would say, or and even if I would have heard that before, I'd be like, oh yeah, I was called by God. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't even explain the feeling that I have. But when I am facilitating breath work, I feel like it's not coming from me. I'm holding a space and something's coming in, and it's just goes through me. But so I'm not special. I'm not doing anything special, But the space that is created during breath work, that is what's special. That is what's medicine. Like what people are able to get from breath work, I cannot even begin to describe what's happening in there. And a lot of people are intimidated, which is understandable because you're going to feel your emotions and you're going to feel weird things. But the feeling after breath work is just like, it's like nothing you can even describe. You know, it's just this, well, you guys know because you've come. It's just this release, you know, and there's, I mean, I could get into the science of breath work.
I was going to say, what is, just for like a little general, what is the definition of breath work? And
what the breath work that I do is called transformational breath work. So what I use is called elemental rhythm. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that even came about afterwards. But breath work it's a constant conscious breathing that you're led through. And what happens is as you're doing this breathing, your serotonin will increase and your cortisol will lower. So what you're doing is you're taking yourself out of the fight or flight state. And when we're in the fight or flight state, we can't make conscious decisions because our body is just, it's protecting us, you know, like you're just going. There's no break. So to not get really technical with it, it helps lower cortisol in your body. But there's scientifically proven so many things that happen because of breath work. But in breath work, so meditation is huge. And I wasn't able to meditate. Like I didn't have that to be able to sit and get quiet. It didn't happen for me. Like
I think a lot of people can relate with that.
So what I found is breath work put me in a meditative state without me having to try. And it would be afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just meditated. Like, oh my gosh, I was still. I didn't have thoughts. Like my thoughts weren't the normal thoughts. My thoughts were like I was talking to my higher self thoughts, not like, oh my gosh, I got to do this, or do they like me, or blah, blah. You know, like what do they think? Oh man, I hope they like their haircut. Like, you know what I mean? Like that stuff that goes through. And the breath work. So if you want to get into a meditative practice and you can't meditate, you have a hard time, come to breath work because it will put you in there and you don't even have to try. You know, so that's what I feel is lowering anxiety in your body and helping you get into a meditative state is probably the most important thing right now that I find.
Even the most anxious people.
Even if you have ADD. Yeah. You'll get there.
Yeah, like you might, because I was really skeptical about it. I'm like, I'm just going to have thoughts. I'm just going to think and keep rolling.
Yeah.
But like eventually you can't think anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're there and you're still and it's happening.
Yes.
And you have to be in tune with your breath too, so it keeps you kind of like engaged in your body.
Yes.
So that's, I mean, people can just sit there and meditate. I think that's.
Oh, it's like, amazing.
That's, wow.
Yeah.
But if you can't, then like, I mean, I'm proof of that because I'm not a quiet person. I like that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, and you can have those like little epiphanies that are like so fun to.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like a sense of highness.
Oh, you're tingly.
After,
I mean, you can access DMT. You know, DMT's in our brain, DMT's in our lungs. You're breathing, like your body's tingly, you're floaty, you're heavy, you're hot, you're cold. You feel all these sensations. Like sometimes it'll sound like I'm underwater. My voice is really distorted. It is psychedelic. Mm-hmm. It's psychedelic. Like I remember one of the classes I had, this kid looked at me, he was like, "What did you put in my water?" I was like, "I swear I didn't all I put in your water was breath. This was all." What our bodies are so capable of healing ourselves, but we forgot. And when you are in breath work, it's reminded.
It brings about that awareness. Yes. I think I didn't even realize until I did your breath work how much I held my breath, mm-hmm. like just in the normal day. And it just brought so much more awareness. So even if I'm in a stressful situation, I try to remember breathe. Like make sure because it calms you down. Mm-hmm. But if you're so tight, it's just going to keep you in a more anxious
and
state.
so listen to me, when were we taught that This is something that needs to be taught in schools. These young kids, my grandkids, I do this with my grandkids. I do this with young kids. Breath work needs to be in every school because it is going to help kids deal with their stress, their anxiety. It teaches them how to breathe. If we learn how to breathe and we breathe at a young age, can you imagine? You know, my son, my 2 boys in the beginning, they were not going to try it. They were, Mom, you're weird. You know, like, weirdo, I am not coming to breath work. And so finally I was like, guys, please, like, everyone's asking what you guys think of it. And I'm like, well, my boys won't do it, you know? So finally they came and afterwards they were like, holy shit, you know? And my oldest son was like, I wish I would have had this when I was 12 years old. And that was like, we need to have breath work in all of the schools. Like this, you can take the spirituality out of breath work. It does not have to be spiritual. It does not have to be a religion based. This is helping kids deal with stress that's within their body, and it's helping natural. It's natural. It is their own breathing. It's oxygen. And, you know, like I'll giggle sometimes because my 5-year-old granddaughter will be like, okay, I just got to breathe. Should we do fire breath? Should we do breath of fire? You know? But I look at that, I think, how awesome is this? Like my brother came to Costa Rica with me this last time and he was like, I am teaching Scarlett breath work. I was like, yes, I just can't say this enough. This needs to be in schools because it really can help kids deal with their stress and anxiety. And if this can be introduced young enough, I just think it's life-changing.
Yeah, because it's like that, like, stop, take 10 seconds, like, take a deep breath.
Yes.
Only, like, more advanced.
Yes.
And I think when you're at that age, too, you look so much outward, being able to focus a little more inward.
Yeah.
And
to be able to teach kids that.
Yeah.
It's not something that we're taught, you know? It's and nothing against parents or schools or anything. It's just we forgot. Just as the human race, we forgot.
I say the same thing with like physical fitness stuff too. I wish they taught kids how to move properly instead of having to like fix things with surgery. You can prehab and have the correct movements, posture.
It's exactly it. It's just the younger we can teach this kind of stuff, this is the future generation. And I'm excited for them though, because I know it's a crazy time, you know, and everyone says I would not want to have kids in this generation, but these kids that we're looking at right now are the ones that are going to change our world. Yeah. So maybe let's help them do it. You know, let's
give them
more
tools.
Some tools.
Yeah.
Let's give them some tools because the world we're going into is not the world that we know right now. And they are going to be the leaders and the change makers. So let's keep giving them tools to make stuff better.
And you've gone into the schools,
yes,
right?
Yeah. Yes.
Have you only done that one class thus far? But like I know it had like everyone was like, this is amazing. And you even said the kids were like,
yeah, they loved it. So even like in the breathwork classes, I have parents bringing their kids in. I do a couple private family breathwork sessions, which let me tell you, you want to talk about healing family trauma. When you are in a room with your kids, you know, and your significant other, and you're doing breath work, it is powerful. Like it is so beautiful to watch. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, kids can come. Like in the spring, I'm gonna do a class at the library for kids. You know, a mindfulness class, but with breathing. But, you know, the littler they are, you just have to be a little more creative with it. But it's going to be cute. But it's going to teach, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, you know, the fundamentals of breathing, like how your breath can make you feel more calm or, you know, so it's cool. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming up. I definitely would like to get into the schools and start offering more classes. I've talked to different teachers, like, you know, people have reached out to me. One big difference is that I cut back in the salon, so I'm only there 2 days a week, which is huge. You know, that was probably one of the scariest things. That was probably the scariest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, because I think you cried every day.
Because some of these clients, a majority of my clients, I have been with me for 26 years, longer than my kids. And it was like, I had to say goodbye to my friends. These were my friends, like, and it was just so emotional. Like it really was the hardest thing to do, but I know that was my next step. That's what it was.
And it was cool to see, like, because I work right behind you, and I would like laugh because I'm an asshole. Yeah. But I would hear this what is it? This stool. Yeah. I would hear the stool and I would see you go and sit, and I'd be like, oh shit, here we go.
She's sitting.
And but it was cool because all of your clients were like, I knew this was coming. It's okay. Like, I knew it. Like, I honestly don't think I heard a single person say anything discouraging to you. They're like, a couple were just like, I'm so devastated because
so
I want to see you. I still want to talk to you.
Yes.
But every single person, so incredibly supportive.
And I would look at it and be like, damn it, can you just be mean to me?
Yeah, I remember you saying, you're like, I want somebody to be mean and make this easier because now I feel guilty and this is tough. Yes. But no, your clients were so super, and they're still so supportive of you because they're at your classes, and I was just, everybody is so, like, to watch everyone receive, because that's, I think, a lot of people's fears. Like, if I changed the trajectory of my course, especially if you're in a service industry job,
and especially at the level you were at,
you're like, okay, like, and
you think that's like, I wasted all that time, but you didn't.
No, and that was like, it takes you in our industry, yours too. I mean, it takes you a long time to build those relationships with people, because that's what it is. You're in a relationship.
For sure.
And you build the trust, and you know this person, and you see these people on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. You're seeing these people, so of course you're like, I gotta keep this is all that I have.
Yes.
And then to see you go, okay, I'm gonna take a step away, because how many times did we say you're like, I'm scared, man, I'm gonna, like, I don't know, I'm so nervous, but I'm ready, I'm ready. And you would be like, I'm gonna do it, I'm doing it. And then you do it, and you'd be like, it's booked, the classes are booked, this is happening. So that's really cool to watch, because
oh man, is it scary though.
But it was effortless, like, to watch you from the let me
from the outside.
It was a very effortless transition to watch you just go, okay, I know what I'm gonna do, and like put all the thought into
there's so
everything.
Many things that I regret not doing, not having the courage to do, not feeling the confidence to do it, to feel like if I just can do this first, then I can do this. There's so many things within the hair industry, in our business, that there's so many opportunities that I missed out of because of a lack of confidence.
Is that like self-worth driven?
Yes. Yes. I just never felt good enough. I felt that I never knew enough. So if I could just do this, then I can do this. And I look back, and there's so many opportunities that I let it stop me, and this time I was like, you know what? I'm going to fall on my face, because I'm young enough that if I have to start over, then I start over. But I am not, because I feel like this is the last chance I've been given for me to show up as who I am and doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not gonna let that go this time. I'm not gonna let it go this time. And if that means losing everything that I have, I'm resilient. I'll figure something else out. I'll do it. But I'm not gonna let the fear of failure and letting other people, misery loves company, and it's just human nature. Like, there are people out there that would love to see me fail, which is at one point in time, there's people I'd love to see them fail, but it's being human. Like, we have to accept our humanness. But that kind of stuff just always stopped me. Now, if I fail, you know what? I'm just going to the next level. Like, I'm going to keep on failing.
Yeah.
But it's
and
not
you learn
stop
something
me.
from it every single time.
Yes.
So let me ask you this, especially since our industry is it's superficial.
Yes,
I mean,
sure.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
How now, after going through this experience in your life, how do you view, how do you step into that superficial profession, and or how has that changed your approach?
With grace, because it's humanness at its rawness. And now, so there's something that I really learned this last trip, last week, is one of the intentions is show me who I become. And just this will even just show you, like, there would be a point in my life, I couldn't even talk about this stuff. This would not even be a conversation. You know, it wouldn't happen. Show me who I've become. And the first couple times I went, it was, you know, you are someone who is so worried about what other people think. You never feel good enough. You never feel like what you do is good enough. Like, and this has just kept getting pounded on. Like, you're so worried if people are judging you, what they feel, what they think, if people don't like you. Like, I want people to like me. I wanted people to like me. Like, I didn't want people to say bad stuff about me. And if bad stuff was said about me, like, it would just eat me alive, but you wouldn't see it. But it would eat me alive. Like, I would just stay up all night. This person doesn't like me, you know? And maybe sometimes I would react versus respond, and I would react to them, you know? And I would come across not what I was really feeling inside, you know? And that again, that's human nature. So this last time, ayahuasca really showed me who I'd become. I'd become a judge and a jury. I was doing to everybody else what I didn't want done to me. So when we say that, like, if, you know, someone wasn't doing something the way that I thought it would be done, I'd be like, oh, that she should be doing it this way, blah, 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 blah. That's not going to work, or this isn't going to work, or he should be doing this, you know? And then I realized, holy shit, I judge. If someone doesn't share the same opinion of me, I judge. But I didn't see that till this time. Like, I saw it, but I didn't feel it. Maybe that's the difference. And now it is human. It's human. We are all human. We all are superficial. We all worry about what other people think. We all worry if someone's not going to like us. And I promise you, the ones who say, I really don't give a shit what people think about me, deep down, it affects.
Yeah.
You know, that sometimes is also a protection mode, you know, like, we're human. And so in the when I first started, I had a very hard time transitioning from salon to breathwork, because it's just two different mental spaces, you know, too. But this time, like, that is human. That is life. Like, it's okay. Let people be who they are. Do not interrupt their journey. Be of service.
And you can still be you.
And you can still be you.
And be that light.
And the biggest thing is just be of service to people. You know, I don't want to say, like, I want to go out and I want to help people. That's not what I want to do, because if I'm saying I want to help you, I don't see you as whole. I see you as whole. I want to be in service. I want to meet you where we're at and then let it grow from there. You know, I just want to be in service. That's all.
Do you feel like that's what we're meant, like, as humans to do?
Yes. And I've never felt, I finally see myself. I finally see my worth. I see what I have to share. I've had a terrible time in relationships, because how am I going to love someone else if I can't love myself? I had terrible communication. I did not know how to communicate, because I wouldn't talk about what I was feeling. I would just put it down, because you know what? If I tell them that I'm uncomfortable or I'm mad or this pissed me off, they're not going to like me. So instead, I don't tell them, and I just show up and I smile. But I had no communication skills, you know? So, which is, guess what? It's okay. That was being human. It was something that was brought to the table, and I was able to figure this out. But all of it is because I just did not know how to love myself. And I can tell you, through these I've done 4 separate weeks of ayahuasca. So I've done 15 ceremonies. And that's how messed up I was. Like I needed them. This last trip was like a opening door for me. You know, like I finally saw who I was and what I had to offer. And I don't have that self-doubt. The self-doubt's gone. One of the ceremonies, one of the nights, there was this dragon, and I was just in the middle of the fire, but the fire did not hurt me. Like I felt no pain, and I looked at the dragon. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm burning off the rest of your self-doubt, honey. You're going home a new person. And let me tell you, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
It's always my favorite when you come back.
You're right.
It's always my favorite because
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't wait to hear the stories. Yeah. Like, and we've talked about it many times, like going and doing, but it is one of those things, like it happens when it's supposed to happen. Like, I mean, like the first time you went down and they were like, nah, come back.
Yeah. I mean, COVID happened because I wasn't supposed to do ayahuasca.
So, like, I think we'll get there.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're going to get there. Yeah. Like, we have another acquaintance who's going to have her first ceremonies. And I think, which we talk about this, like, I think as a collective, like, we're ready to move into more, like, spirituality and just, like, being and, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
What will, you know, like the psychedelic trend that's coming.
Yeah. And listen, it's not a trend. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
It's here to stay, and it is going to heal people. So we might as well take the stigma away from psychedelics because it is here to stay.
And I would rather do.
And there's studies out there about it too.
Yeah, I mean, like, so you take.
There's if we're talking psilocybin, there's a difference from going and doing mushrooms with your college buddies and on pizza and like just totally, you know, freaking out, or doing it in a ceremony with intention and reason, and it's
not just to get messed up or like.
So it's just time. I feel like that stigma needs to be taken off of psychedelics for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for, you know, the drug resistant, like depression.
Yes.
Like where I mean, people, it's happening.
It's happening.
It's completely curing them, and then how good you're not on prescription medications anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
it's definitely happening.
I think that is going to be such a huge thing, but I think too there's like the separation of the people who are just like, and there's nothing wrong with it, that are like they're going to be here and you know, like this is their life's path and journey, and they just like weren't ready to get there. And then there's like a whole other level where everyone's like, we feel that, we get that. And
this is something that's really exciting too. The first time I went, like I would say ayahuasca, and people would be like, "Aya what?" You know, or Hoskawaska. Like it's kind of like balayage, you know. We would get all these different names. Like it's kind of comical, but you know, in the beginning, everyone's like, "What the hell is that?" And you're going to where and blah blah blah. And now people know, you know, and there's people going. And this is what makes me so excited. Is like we are opening up as a collective, and we're understanding maybe everything we've been doing, maybe it's not right, and
not working. Yeah.
It's not working, but. You know, everyone's like, how Steubenville, Ohio, you're gonna have a breathwork place down there, come on, no one's gonna do it. I beg to differ. You know, like people are ready, but people don't realize they're ready until you offer them that tool. You know,
or there's people that are like in the underground, like how many people have we met recently that were like, oh, these are my people, like where the hell have you been? But you just have to like pull them out. And even if people come to just see, like, you know, they do it because it's trendy, I think once you do it and you see what it is, like it doesn't fucking matter if it's trendy. It might be trendy, cool, that's awesome, but when you actually do it, and then you see, like, some people might shy away from it and just be like, that was too much, I can't handle that. And then there's other people that are like, oh, wow. Yes. Okay, like I'm intrigued. I want to do more. Or people that do it and they're neutral, but you know, like,
yeah, it's just like anything. I mean, breath work's just like any modality we do. It's not for everybody. That's the coolest thing about having so many different tools out there. All you need to do is find the one that you connect with. That's all. You have to find the one that you connect with. So is everybody going to come into breathwork and absolutely love it? The music's loud. I'm stomping. I look like a crazy woman. You know, like I feel like I go into this trance, but it works, and it's there for the people that are ready for it. The one thing though, this is what's important. When I came back and I started doing these breathwork classes, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. I mean, I knew what I was doing, but I had no training, or I was just doing what I remembered, you know. So I finally, like, when the classes were really getting full, I was like, I probably should get like certified, you know, or I probably should really learn. So Gio, he has elemental rhythm, and he was my guest speaker when I was there my first week. And so I, you know, called him up. I'm like, hey, Gio, so I'm doing these classes and I really don't know what I'm doing. So I want to be trained, you know, I need to be trained. And, you know, he kind of laughed. He's like, that's pretty cool. You're doing it. So I went through this training with him, and going through the training, I just even knew more, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, just, it's what I was supposed to do. So I went through the first training, and then I'm just actually finishing the second level of training, which is, it is so intense, and it takes breath work to a whole new level, and it's so individualized. And this is like, you know, this is a program where it's either 8 weeks or 12 weeks where we meet once a week. But I mean, we get to the nitty gritty, and there's no way around it. So for those of you that are looking for, if you're tired of your own shit and you're not ready to go do plant medicine, come try this, because it has blown my mind. And being a student of it, experiencing it, as well as being able to facilitate it's pretty cool. But I love this company. Like, I love what they stand for. I love the energy that they carry. And so I'm going to become a facilitator in the US for them. And today I actually got to sit on my first, you know, train the trainer, so to say, kind of training. And it was, I just felt like I was home, sitting in there and connecting with people. Annie was in the class.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, oh, I was so excited. So I'm so excited about this journey with all of this. And, I mean, I know I'll continue to do plant medicine. Like, it's just going to be a part of me now, you know?
I think it's super cool to see that even if you're in a smaller city or small town, like, there are like-minded people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
And good people, not just, you know, people in it for the show.
And there's power in that. Like you said, you could do it online, but there's something different about being there and the collective.
And it's really cool to even see what's happening at Empowered.
Oh,
like,
yes.
yeah.
There's just, you know, Amanda and I have talked so many times about, like, what does Empowered become? What does it become? What, you know, and the right people are just showing up. Like, it's so crazy, you know, the things that are being offered. And like, you know, she'll call me and she'll be like, you're not gonna believe this. And then I'll call him, like, dude, you're not gonna believe, look, listen to this text I got. Or, do you know, like, the community that is being built and Empowered is powerful. It's really powerful, and I just keep seeing it grow and grow and grow. And I'm really excited to see even where that goes, like how much that's going to expand. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space, which
it's such a cool
like
space.
On the superficial level, like taking advantage of being in downtown Steubenville, which is a beautiful architecture, these beautiful lofted spaces, and it's just so pretty. And then, like, it feels like home when you walk into Empowered. Like,
it is.
You just feel very comfortable and like warm, and it is just
it's a great space.
It's just so cool. And then, like I said, like we're using these old properties that were
Yes.
dilapidated and they're just sitting there and they're gorgeous. And then doing this
Yes.
and pulling all of these things in, it's just a really cool experience to watch it grow with a community of people. And then too, even being that we have the Catholic University here, it all kind of flows together.
Yeah,
It's all
the
gonna
one
work
cool
together.
thing too, like with breath work, I did a breath work to the rosary, you know, where it was called a walk with Mary. You know, I was raised Catholic. That's my foundation, and yoga, breath work, all these things can seem taboo, you know, like that is not of God. But no, listen, that we did the rosary to breath work, and it was so powerful. I cried during it, and I remember sitting here thinking, oh my God, like you felt Mary's presence in there. Like, I don't care who you are, you couldn't be in that room and not feel the presence of just that higher power. And I cried during this breath work, and then I laughed at myself. I'm like, really? You're gonna cry at this breath work? Like, you know? But it was so beautiful. So that it doesn't matter what you believe in.
I think that goes along with spirituality. I don't think things are necessarily conflicting.
No.
They all kind of,
yeah.
and like you said before, everyone has different things that they're drawn to.
Yes.
So you're going to find your clarity in what you're drawn to.
Right. It doesn't make one
Wrong
better or
or right,
another. Yeah.
So what like things, I know you have some things coming up at Empowered, like
Yeah, we're starting to do
really-
ice baths.
yeah, some really interesting things. Some the other day was like, man, why don't they just do a nice warm bath? I'll do that. And I'm like, well, you can go sit in the infrared room.
The warm bath's not going to shock
Yeah.
you. There's something about an ice bath. When you go into an ice bath for like 1 to 5 minutes, your body becomes in this mode where it is like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But in those minutes, your mind stops thinking. So in the moment, you will go to complete silence. So if you have that chattery mind and you just want to feel what it feels like to be quiet inside, come do an ice bath, because you will get the silence in your mind. You will. It's so powerful, but there's something too about it, like, oh, it's hard. You know, like you're going to like, oh my gosh, you get in and when you get out, like you feel so strong. You feel like so proud of yourself. It's like, I endured it and I came out on the other side. You know, that's just, there's all kind of scientific stuff too with ice baths. You know, it's like,
Like professional athletes do that shit.
But let's just not bypass the spiritual side of it. Like, you find your power in an ice bath. You find your own power. You definitely find.
Are you
your own power.
integrating breath work in with
so
that? Okay.
This one coming up, what we're going to do is a breath work before it, and then we'll go into the ice bath, and then we'll have sound healing integration music afterwards, where you'll have time to journal and just kind of like, unless you've experienced it, it's really hard to explain too, but there's such a release in an ice bath.
So you need like a decompression.
It's like you need to sit with it. You need to integrate after it. You can't just go boom right back into, let's go right back into, you know, like you need to sit with it. It's just like anything. What lesson did you learn? What showed up? What did you feel? And this is my biggest thing. Where else does this show up in your life? Where else does this show up in your life? Whatever is troubling us, we're going to realize shows up in so many areas in our life. And here's where a big thing is we will look to the outside causing all of these troubles, you know? What's the common denominator?
You.
Me. So to sit with yourself is not easy. And it's humiliating and it's vulnerable and you have to let go. But man, when you come out on the other side, that pain that you're carrying, it's just not there anymore. And then you really get to share your gifts with others. You really get to share.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the ice bath thing, so I'm
I'm excited. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. The breath work before, it just like really starts to loosen up all the energy, everything that's kind of like stuck and stored, and it's just ready. And then when you go in the ice, you just let that go. You let everything you're holding go. You just let it go. Yeah, I'm excited you're coming.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
We're going to get you in the water.
Maybe I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I'm actually like, you know me. I'm like, oh, I want to see what this is like. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get in a nice bath. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I say that now. But no, I still think it'll be fun.
Yeah. It's people will be surprised. If you haven't done it yet, you're going to be surprised. So this is something that we do want to offer more often, more to even where if you don't want the whole experience where you just want to come in and do the ice bath, it's something that we're trying to figure out how to make that happen.
And we're going to be having Amanda on in a future episode too. So she'll be talking about more stuff at Empowered. Yeah. And we're getting close to wrapping up here, but I want to ask Lisa the final question.
Are we getting close to wrapping up?
You're never
we could have about 10 talks. I didn't even touch that.
No, that's what I'm like, oh, man. Because I know that I asked how long we could go on this. Yeah. And we could go as long as we want.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot more stories on it.
Yeah, I feel like we need to like break it down into like the chapters. Like, let's really.
The chapters of Lisa's ayahuasca.
Yeah, like you can listen to this if you have done this, and then like wait until you go to your breathwork class, and then we'll get into this, because there's always that part at the end of breathwork where we have our do you care to share with the group, and it's always some crazy stuff, something where people are just like,
you are amongst your people.
Oh yeah. Even like people that you wouldn't expect, and you're like, huh.
Yes.
Okay. And then everybody's like looking around like, did you hear that?
But really what they're thinking is, I'm so glad she said that, because now I feel so much better because I experienced the same thing too, but I was scared to say it. Yeah. Sometimes the share isn't meant for you. Mm-hmm. It's meant for somebody that's in the room,
Because it's a thing that like you to experience the breath work, and I'm sure to experience the ayahuasca, like everything sounds so crazy until you do it, and then you're like, it's all gonna make sense. Yes. But I'm gonna sound like a fucking lunatic.
Yes.
Until you have like been there.
Yes. Just do it.
Which you do classes. What is the schedule for your breath
So
work
right now the group classes are Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. and then Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. I'm doing it, and that one's called Going Deeper, and it's just a little bit deeper. The Saturday morning one's going to be a little bit more energizing, to go through the day, and then I do privates.
Do you still have the Monday night classes?
No.
Okay.
No. So Monday nights, I'm going to start getting into the facilitator training. So that, and then I'm going to hold some of the Monday nights for private classes too. So I added the Saturday morning and took away the
Monday evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to try to go to some of the Saturday morning ones for sure.
Oh, girl, you're wild.
Before I do mine.
Yeah.
Before I do my stretch class.
Yeah.
You can always just roll in there.
Yes.
And then,
It's all, yeah. The Saturday morning one, the one that it's going to be a little more energizing, uplifting, and
Very exciting.
Yep.
Good things coming. Good
things.
I know. I can't wait to see it like in the summer. Like open the those
those
beautiful double doors and have everything open and
it's cool.
I'm excited for that. All right, ask your question. I hope you thought of a really, really good one.
A really good question?
Yeah.
It's the question I always ask at the end.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that question.
That question. Okay.
I asked what my safe word was.
It's nothing scary. It's something you could just come up with. You've already kind of said some things, but like, what's one thing that you have overcome in your life? It can be big or small, that you can help tell your story that will someone out there struggling with that they can seek and maybe get some, comfort in your experience hearing it.
Self-doubt. And especially when you show the world one person but you really are somebody else. So I can help people with that because I've lived both sides. Yeah, self-doubt.
What do you feel like, what steps like kind of that you took to kind of overcome that, besides I know your ayahuasca?
Yeah, so mine just had to be a little bit more, crazy, but I mean, right now I'm going to tell you, come to breath work. Like, let's start there. Let's try. It's kind, it's loving, it's gentle. Because until you can learn to connect with yourself, till you connect with your higher self, there's not. I can give you so many self-help books. I can take you through, like I'm trained through Jack Canfield to be a transformational coach. I could take you through all of this, but until you connect with who you are, none of it's going to matter. Because it's just going to be what's next. Come meet me in breathwork, and I'm going to help you find yourself.
That was great.
I would attest to that. Because I did your Jack Canfield class, which were freaking amazing. And they were super, like, a lot of shit comes up.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like everything I was trained with in that I use that in my one-on-ones too, so goal setting's not bad. I'm not saying that. I love goal. I mean, Sarah, I love goal setting.
Yes. And it's great, but it's just...
It doesn't work until you meet yourself. So let's meet. Come to the space. Find yourself. Then let's figure out what path you take.
Yeah, give yourself that space and time. A lot of people, I think, put that off and try to just chug through life.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to meet yourself.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to be ugly. Allow yourself to not be physically fit.
Yeah, in the safe space to do it in.
In a safe space. Yeah. Because then you can find who you need to be. Like, find who you really are. You find who you are when you take away what the world told you to be.
We need that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need that on a shirt.
Thank you so much for coming in today, especially right after your trip coming back.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's
me.
fresh in your mind.
Yeah, right. Right. Sarah's going to have to hear about it now, though, for the next
No, it
months.
makes me so excited because I just get to be like one ear here, one ear here.
Because she's right behind me. So
and I look forward
she
to
can't
it.
get away from it.
And I'll turn around and jump into conversation. Not to eavesdrop, but I want to know more because selfishly, I want to go do ayahuasca right now. Just like come back and be like, this is what happened, but we'll get there. And from now on, we're going to do breath work. We're going to keep doing with that.
Psychedelic breath work.
Yes. So, all right. Well, thank you. I'm sure we will have you on
again
and again and again and again and again to talk about things, which is very cool and important. But empowered yoga. What are you guys on? Is that 4th Street?
Yes.
4th Street, downtown Steubenville. You're safe. It's fine.
Oh gosh, yes, most definitely. Come on, the
Come
police
check it
station's
out
right
if you
behind
haven't.
us.
Listen,
there's cameras all over down there. We're good.
You're fine, and it's a beautiful space, and it's just fun. There's Elaine Kennedy,
Yes,
Muriel
awesome
and Joyce. She's got her beautiful jewelry down there. There's
Cara Monagold, her
Cara's
mushroom tinctures.
We have so much stuff.
Yeah.
If you are into, the crystals and your smudge sticks or
Rebel Root remedies too. Michelle Blake, her stuff's awesome. She makes all holistic
any of the holistic
things.
stuff. Like if you're looking for a holistic space, especially in the valley, there are some, but it's just nice that there's a physical location where you can.
And if you like crystals, Devin has all her crystals down there, and they are beautiful.
They are beautiful.
They're really
beautiful crystals. So
even come in and shop and like check the things out if you're into that.
All the crystal lovers out there, come down, check them out.
Yeah, to have a local space to do
For
that.
sure.
And something here.
Yes.
So, and then you can go get coffee and.
Yes. And then Anthony's doing the sound meditation music, which if you have not gone to one of his classes yet, try it.
It's
because
awesome
it is
too.
like you
I love
just float away to another dimension. It's
It's
really
super
nice.
relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah, because you went.
Yeah, we have a couple new yoga instructors. Yeah, there's just some awesome stuff, you know,
Up and
awesome
coming
stuff
this year,
coming up.
2022.
Yeah. Yes, for
Staying
sure.
tuned.
For sure.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
Hey, if I do the intro,
Go ahead. You can do
what
the
are you
outro.
doing? Just taking over. No, because you want to know what that is. That's okay. I have to cut this off because she won't shut the fuck up. That's exactly
Tell
what
you
that
real,
is.
Sarah.
Really, and I'm like, but
Yeah,
fine, go ahead.
yeah.
I love you.
Listen, I work behind her. Trust me.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll definitely have Lisa on again.
Great.
Go to
Tune in
Empowered
every
Yoga.
other Tuesday, Truth Camp. We appreciate you guys. Listen, subscribe, and leave us comments.
Yes. Oh, we're gonna start playing real quick. We're gonna start playing a new game because why the fuck not? So you've watched, you've seen the set. You just, we're just gonna
You're
have
getting used to the decor.
little treasure hunt, and first person who comments under this YouTube video and sees the random ass thing. It's one thing.
We're gonna put a surprise.
We're gonna send you a
And
little
I'm
special
dying because you
thing.
know I want to give you a hint, but I won't.
No, nope. This is not I Spy. We're not playing I
I
Spy.
spy with my little eye.
We'll send you a special sticker.
A special sticker. We might even color you something. But anyways, all right. Thanks, guys, so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.